Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Must Have Comics at From Heroes to Icons. I am your host, Jason, and I hope that you are having a great and safe Halloween on today as the time of this recording. And really don't do Halloween, but happy Halloween to everybody that does celebrate Halloween. This week we are covering comic books for November 6, 2019. And we have a nice size of books and a ton of variants. And I am just overwhelmed by comic books. I think I need to do something different. The boxes are piling up upon me. And I definitely need to go to my LCS immediately. If anybody hasn't been to the comic book store this week, that's Silver Surfer Black. Fire. Got the digital joint, but need to pick up that book, most definitely. And just real quick, Boom Studios is putting out another book, coming out in about 2 weeks. It's called Folklords by Matt Kine and Matt Smith. And Dan Mora of Once and Future fame is doing a variant cover, which looks stupendous. And I wouldn't say it's in the same vein as Once and Future, but it's a fantasy book. But the kid that's in this fantasy world, I believe he sees there's a world before this, and it's actually like the regular world that he's kind of caught up in, believing that there is besides the fantasy world that he lives in. Something different, much more kiddish and playful in the art style. But I believe another book to be looking out for. So without any further ado, we're going to jump into these books and doing something a little bit different. Some of the books that I'm putting on here, I'm just putting out because they seem to have a little bit more importance, or they're just a straight cover grab, and I will make note of that also. As always, we're going to start out with DC Comics. We got Batman 82 by Tom King and Mikhail Janin. I guess the City of Bane thing is still going on. And from what I believe, some of these books from DC this week, the regular cover is actually an acetate cover. So when you pick your books up and they're the DC Comics and they have the acetate covers, make sure both the top cover and the cover underneath are in good condition. Ain't no telling what type of printing errors or what type of problems they may have with these covers. So be on the lookout for that. Cover A is by David Finch, and cover B is by Travis Charest. Deathstroke 49 by Christopher Priest and Cam Smith. Stefan Sokovia is doing cover A, and cover B is done by Scon. This week we have another Dollar Comics, which is Flashpoint #1 by Jeff Johns and Andy Kubert. And if you haven't picked up this book, the original, it's good to have it because I know they made a Flashpoint cartoon, which was phenomenal. And supposedly the Flash film, whenever that's being made, is supposed to be loosely based off of Flashpoint. Green Lantern's Black Stars #1 by Grant Morrison and Exer Monaco. Liam Sharp is doing cover A, and Derek Robertson is doing cover B. I guess we'll have to see what comes of that. This is just a cover grab, Harley Quinn 67, and the Frank Cho cover. Definitely want to pick that up. Infected, King Shazam #1 by Cena Grace and Joe Bennett. And it has one cover, and that is by David Marquez. I'm a little upset, I'll say, I guess, about this book. Not because of anything about the Batman Who Laughs or anything like that, but King Shazam. Ugh, I feel kind of offended. They've been treating Shazam so bad in the comics, and then they're going to come out with this. Like, Jeff Johns should really put some spank on that Shazam book, and that would be a really nice title if Billy Batson was like 18 years old. But que sera, right? Justice League 35 by Snyder, Tinian, and art by Francis Manipool. Raphael Albuquerque is doing cover A, and cover B is by Tyler Kirkham, which has to be one of his weakest covers to date. I guess the book, some have been dreading and some have been really wanting. Legion of Superheroes #1 by Brian Michael Bendis and Ryan Sook. Cover A and B, I believe, is by Ryan Sook. Cover C is the final connecting cover, I think, by Brian Hitch. Cover D is by Jim Chung, and that is going to be a little bit more expensive. That's a cardstock cover. And they also have a blank variant cover, which looks kind of cool with the logo splashed across the front. Lois Lane #5 by Greg Rucka and Mike Perkins. Perkins is doing cover A, and Mirko Andolfo is doing cover B. Another 100-page giant, Teen Titans Go #1. I think I may pick that up for the children. And Young Justice #10 by Brian Michael Bendis and John Timms. I guess this is important. They're saying that it's the origin of Team Lantern. No, not Team Lantern. What's her name? The Jonah Hex girl. I forget her name. The cowboy chick. It's supposed to be her origin, and Naomi supposedly joins Young Justice in this episode. So if it is, I guess it'll get hot like that Batman Beyond issue that's going for more money than it's worth, I guess, right now. Cover A is by John Timms, and cover B is by Nick Bradshaw. Moving over to Image Comics, we have a few books here. Die #9 by Karen Gillian and Stephanie Hans. Hans is doing cover A, and Mikel Muerto is doing cover B. Book is still hot. Really like that cover B, though. Sonata #6 by David Hine and Brian Haberlin. And Haberlin, as always, is doing both covers for this book. Spawn 302 by Tom McFarlane and Jason Sean Alexander. Cover A is by Greg Capullo. And I believe that has a trade dress and virgin variant of this. And cover B is by Todd McFarlane, and that also has a trade dress and a virgin variant. I guess one of the big book from Image Comics this week is The Undiscovered Country #1 by Scott Snyder, Charles Soule, and Giuseppe Camacoli. And this has a ton of covers, but I'm only showing 3, primarily because most of the variant covers are comic book store exclusives. I don't know why they did that, but it's whatever. Cover A is by Camacoli. Cover B is by Jock. And the third cover I'm showing is the Midtown exclusive cover by Scon. Going over to our indie comic books, we have Berserker Unbound #4 by Jeff Lemire and Mike Deodato Jr. Cover A is by Deodato, and cover B is by Christian Ward. Favorite of mine, Buffy the Vampire Slayer #9 by Jordi Belair and David Lopez. Mark Espinal is doing cover A. Kevin Wada is doing cover B. Goni Montes is doing cover C. And cover D is the FOC variant. I'm not sure of the artist, but it's pretty cool. Killers #4 by B. Clay Moore and Fernando Dagnino. John Bourne Myers is doing cover A, and Kenneth Rockefeller is doing cover B. A book of an artist that I've been following on Instagram is coming out this week. It's pretty big. I'm not sure too much about this book, but the art looks astounding. And I know it was like a Kickstarter book, but you don't usually see too many Kickstarter books get pushed by Diamond. So I guess it did quite well on Kickstarter. This is Niobe, She is Death #1 by Sebastian Jones and Sheldon Mitchell. Mitchell is doing cover A, which is wonderful looking. Cover B is by Jay Lee, and that also has a virgin variant. And cover C is the Kickstarter edition. So I guess if you had went to a certain tier on Kickstarter, you'll be getting that book. Definitely a nice book to look out for. As always, we're going to make Marvel mine. The Amazing Spider-Man number 33, which I'm just kind of just sick and tired of Spider-Man right now, but we're going to stick with it. By Nick Spencer and Patrick Gleason. Cover A. I don't know who's doing cover A. Cover B is the 2099 variant. Cover C is the artist variant, they call it. And cover D is the hidden gem variant, I guess, of the Spider-Man 2099 crossover by Rick Leonardi. Whatever. Black Cat number 6 by Jed McKay and Michael Dowling. J. Scott Campbell is doing cover A, and Phil Noto gives us our 2099 variant for the Black Cat. One of my Marvel favorites, Daredevil 13 by Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto, and I only have one cover, and that is cover A of A Bloody Kingpin by Julian Totino Tedesco. Great book. Must have. Must read. Doctor Doom number 2 by Christopher Cantwell and Salvador LaRocca. LaRocca is doing cover A, and cover B is Doom 2099. Fantastic Four number 16 by Dan Slott and Sean Izaske. Cover A is by Nick Bradshaw, and cover B is by Greg Land. I don't know how this Ghost Rider book got turned from Beware the Ghost Rider to Ghost Rider, but Beware the Ghost Rider sounds so much cooler. But anyway, Ghost Rider number 2 by Ed Brisson and Aaron Cooter. Cooter is doing cover A, and cover B is by Clayton Crane, and I believe that's either a 1 in 10 or a 1 in 25 variant. 2 weeks in a row. Here we go with the Immortal Hulk number 26 by Al Ewing and Joe Bennett, and we have a Boss cover by Alex Ross. Miles Morales number 12 by Saladin Ahmed and Have Garin, and we only have one cover for that, and that is by Ken Lashley. New X book this week, New Mutants number 1, and I guess this is supposed to be a big one because Jonathan Hickman is co-writing it or spearheading it or whatever you want to call it. And that is by Jonathan Hickman and Ed Brisson with art by Rod Reyes. Rod Reyes is doing cover A. Mark Bagley has his Draw All Mutants cover by cover B. A wonderful cover by Art Germ is cover C. Cover D is a Young Guns variant by Have Garin. Cover E is by Adi Gradov. And cover F is a designer variant. Whew. Nick Bradshaw is doing cover G, which is a 1 in 25. Cover H by Arthur Adams is a 1 in 50. And cover I is by Mike Didadio, and that is the local comic shop day variant. So I don't know if this book is coming out the next week, or you're going to have to wait till local comic shop day to get that variant. But be on the lookout for it. Savage Avengers number 7 by Jerry Dugan and Patrick Zetcher. Cover A only that I have here is by David Finch. Beautiful Electra. The Web of the Black Widow number 3 by Jody Hauser and Stephen Mooney. Jing Guan Yun is doing cover A, and Mooney is doing cover B, which is a 1 in 25 variant. Last book for Marvel Comics this week, we have X-Force number 1 by Benjamin Percy and Joshua Cassara. Cover A is by Dustin Weaver. Cover B is a Young Guns variant by Russell Donnerman. Cover C is a designer variant. Cover D is by Adi Gradov, and that is a 1 in 50. Cover E is by Kyle Nuji. And cover F is by Jing Hung Lee. They're just going crazy with these covers. And that is it for this week's comics. For our covers of the week, I guess we're going to do a top 5. Daredevil 13 by Julian Tedesco. Die number 9 by Miguel Muerto. New Mutants number 1. The Adi Granov cover. And also the New Mutants #1 art germ cover, which is just pure fire. Glad that's regular price. And the Immortal Hulk Alex Ross cover, number 26. For our books of the week, we're going to go with Niobe, She is Death, #1. And that also gets an honorable mention for cover of the week. Green Lantern's Dark Stars, #1. Don't know where this is headed, but I believe Grant Morrison knows what he's doing. Undiscovered Country by Snyder and Company. That Image book, I think it's been optioned already for a show. Who knows? Buffy the Vampire Slayer, #9. Guilty pleasure of mine. And Daredevil 13. One of the best reads that is not by Jason Aaron or Donnie Cates, coming from Marvel. And that is it, people. So as I said before, I hope you have a safe and happy Halloween. I will catch you guys next week. And we are planning to do some other type of videos to try to shape things up a little bit over here. And hopefully before the end of the year, we may do a road to 500 subscribers or something like that. And y'all guys, make sure y'all check out my Instagram. I'm almost at 600 subscribers on my Instagram. Same thing, from Heroes to Icons. And I will catch you at the same bat time and at the same bat channel. Peace.